This is the 21st season of Bass Talk Live. BTL is presented by Bass Cat Boats, Strike King Lures, Aftco, Pro Guide Batteries, Spro, Gamakatsu, The Bass Tank, Denali Rods, Beatdown Outdoors, and Sunline.
BTL coming at you.
Good morning and welcome to another exciting edition of BTL Bass Talk Live, where we're going to talk all about bass fishing. A really good show yesterday. Kyle Welcher was on. I wanted to kind of get more into the poker thing, but then it kind of went off the rails. So it was good to bring Mark Jeffries in. Some interesting comparisons there with the world of professional poker fishing and professional bass fishing, as far as technology, as far as who's making a living in that industry now, how they're making the living into it. And then if you didn't catch the segment that was it was not a planned segment, but it went into the world of AI and bass fishing. That was some interesting stuff. I had several calls after that show where I don't really know what to think about that. I went back in and started messing around with it. I kind of knew it was around and messed with the Chat GPT a little bit, but not really. And was I just typed in what is the format of Bass Talk Live? It gave a breakdown of to the minute of how we do the show, how I open it, what we do, how we do the guests, how we bring it in. And I usually talk for 3 to 5 minutes. I preview what's going on. I talk about it. And then I realized that, yeah, it's pretty accurate, because we'll bring in our guest today 3 minutes into the show, Wes Logan, about 2 weeks overdue on the show, but life happens after his second Elite Series win in Oklahoma, the middle of June, Lake Tenkiller, or Tenkiller Lake, depending on how you want to say it. I know it's kind of 6 one way, half dozen the other. Thanks for jumping on BTL, Wes.
Absolutely, man. It's a pleasure to be here. It's been a whirlwind of 2 weeks, I can tell you that.
Got to be a good whirlwind, right?
Yeah, it's a good busy, getting pulled in a lot of different directions, but it's better than the alternative of nobody calling or nobody wanting to talk to you.
Yeah. So after you win, just kind of break down what the last 2 weeks are. Are you reaching out to sponsors? Are sponsors reaching out to you? Is it media outlets? Kind of how does that go down? Because I know some guys really take advantage of it, and other guys are just kind of yeah, whoever calls, I'll talk to them, but I'm not, I'm just going to kind of go on with my life.
Yeah, I mean, it's maybe a little bit different for me, because we basically rolled right from Tenkiller. I went straight to Eufaula, right there in Oklahoma, to fish the MPFL event, and so it was more media trying to get in touch with me, and wanting to do stuff, right out the gate, and I mean, I was trying to practice, trying to start this tournament, the Eufaula tournament, and then the other whirlwind starts. Somehow I go out there on the first day. I've seen the place one day in my life, and I catch almost 20 pounds.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I'm like, this is awesome. I don't know where this Wes Logan's been for 5 years, but I need to keep doing more of this. And then, kind of ran into some interesting situations on day 2 at Eufaula, but that's neither here nor there. But as far as all that goes, yeah, it's been just more of just, when I finally got home from that tournament, just trying to reach back out to everybody. I had 300 texts on my phone for 2 weeks, and I was finally able to catch back up. Because I just feel like I want to reach back out to every person, personally. I didn't want to do just a copy and paste text to everybody. I wanted it to be kind of sincere, because I mean, they were generous enough to reach out to me, so I felt like I should be personal and get back to them, each one, individually. So that took a little while, but again, like I said, it's way better than nobody calling you.
Yeah, we were going to do the show, an evening show, right after you had won. And like you said, you went back to back for Elite Series, and then missed 2 days of practice for the MPFL after that Tenkiller event. And you said, well, I'm going to go out. I'm going to spin around the lake for 3 or 4 hours. I believe it was your first day that you'd ever been on.
I was on the phone driving to the boat.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. I was oh, he must be really dialed in and know what section of the lake he wants to look at. And then I saw the MPFL posted a deal of you idling out, and I saw where you were idling out from, and I was oh, he's got a lot to look at if he's just going to make a spin for a couple hours and then come in and do BTL. And then you messaged me and said, hey man, this lake is freaking way bigger than I thought it was. I'm fishing till dark.
Like literally, like so. I don't even remember is it Nichols Point or
yeah, you fall a cove.
Yeah, so I'm idle out of there, and I'm like, I'm gonna run up to I don't know what the area is called, but it's like I think it's you come out and you go around, it's like a triangle in between all these bridges, and there's like a river.
Literally called the Triangle.
Well, so I was like, I'm gonna go there and I'll just run up that river and just run it and just see what it looks like. Come back, dude. I'm riding, and I can see the bridge up there, and I'm riding some more. And 10 minutes later, I finally get to the bridge, and I'm like, I start looking at my map, like distance, and I'm like, the top of this river is like 20 miles up here, like. So I run all the way up there, and I kind of look around, and I made a few casts. I'm like, whatever. And then I I went out of there and ran up, and then I ran back down. I looked down, dude. I got like a quarter tank of gas left, and I hadn't looked at anything. I'm like, this isn't gonna be good.
That direction, I believe, had a little bit of color in the water at the time.
Oh yeah, it was. I stuck my hand down in the water, and it wouldn't even get wet because it just stopped like I was on solid ground. I tracked a raccoon for a little while. I thought I could find him, but. There obviously was some clean water. I finally, it wasn't hard to find once you found where everybody was at. And I got to fish, the last day of practice for a little while and got, 5 or 6 bites. And I was like, well, we'll just roll with it. And like I said, day one was epic, and then the rest of it wasn't. But I never realized how big that place was. It's massive. It's
100,000 acres.
Yeah, and I'm not going to say there's not a lot of bass in it. There's not a lot of bass in a lot of places, it seems like.
Yeah, I would agree. Like, I've fished it for 20 years now, and it's really weird. Like, every time the Opens or the BPT or the Invitationals or the MPFL has been there, like, it's like 6 or 7 times now in the past 3 years. It is like a Dateline NBC 2020 special on how professional tournaments even ended up at Eufaula. Like, there are so many, wild twists and turns that include police chases and arrests and it's bizarro world on how they ended up there in the first place. But that being said, it's like 0 for 7 on hitting it when it's actually fishing good. Like, I don't know whether maybe then it's not as good of a fishery as I thought it was, or in your mind, like, even a good fishery, is it better when it's off? Like, what makes a good fishery to you? Because I've just been like, I've kind of given it the benefit of the doubt, being like, oh, you hit it when the water was higher. You hit it in the summer. You hit it in a transition period. You hit it when they weren't pulling any water. And then I started thinking, well, maybe it's just not as good as I think it is.
No, I think like I said, I literally only spent 3 fishing days on it, like where I was actually out there, like, making casts and trying to figure stuff out. I really think it's a good lake. And I think we kind of take for granted that, they only live in certain places. Well, my God, dude, when it's 100,000 acres, like, they can't be everywhere. Like, it's huge. But from what I saw, like, the quality is 100% there. Like, I talked to a few guys that after the second afternoon or that night, I just called a few guys that I talked to that just fished the MPFL. I'm like, man, have you had any bites? And like, not really, but I caught a 7, and I had another guy I know caught a 6, and somebody caught an 8, and I'm like, those are like really big. Yeah, but you only get like 5 or 6 bites. I'm like, that's how I fish regardless. Like, I don't go out there and catch 30. So, I think it's in the quality, like I said, the quality looked good. The fish looked healthy, the ones I caught. So, and there was a lot of bait. I don't think it's near as bad as it looks. It just, everybody's like, well, they don't live everywhere. Well, my God, if they lived everywhere, like, it would be the best lake in the world because it's so big. But I really do think it's a good lake. It's got, obviously some pretty cover in it when the water, when the water floods. The color, like, didn't really bother me that bad. Like, a few places were, like, really, really red or, like, churned up. But even where it was muddy, like on the main drag, like, you would go throw a spinnerbait and you could see it 8 to 10 inches deep, which is not really near as bad as it looks, like, just with your eyes.
Did your trip to Oklahoma kind of renew your faith in high-level tournament bass fishing and give you another, like, a second start to your career, so to speak?
I think it did a lot for me mentally, to be honest. I didn't realize, and I never really put it together until literally like the past 2 weeks since I won. Like, I see how, like, you like to fish, like Jason Christie likes to fish, like Luke Palmer fishes, like, and y'all are all kind of from that same general area. Like, y'all are all shallow water guys like I grew up, but I never, like, put 2 and 2 together. Like, I don't know why I didn't. Like, that's how you fish those lakes most of the time. Well, seeing how Tenkiller's set up and then how, Eufaula kind of did, like, I mean, it's right up. It's basically just a home away from home for me, the way the fish act and the way the lake's set up. And I'm not saying there's not other places in the country like that, but it just seemed like that general area, like, you've got the bushes, you got the flooded stuff, the run-ins, the bluffs, the docks, the marinas, like all that's kind of like I fish here besides the bank grass. But then you've got, that's not far from y'all, I don't think is Dardanelle, which has got water willow all around it. Like I drove over it, I'm like, well, that looks just like Neely Henry and Lay Lake. So it just seems like a really cool place to, like, if I didn't live here in Alabama, like I would want to somewhere in that area, probably not in Eufaula, Alabama or Oklahoma, no offense. But yeah,
no, it's good. And then, so like one of the first really good opens that I ever had, one of my first top 10s was on Neely Henry.
Yeah.
And that's where you won your first Bassmaster Elite Series tournament. And I remember I actually I had to practice the majority of that with a blown engine and then a bad shift actuator. So I didn't get to see very much, but I mean, I was super comfortable out there. So it was no really big surprise. And that's kind of your home lake. Aside from, there's like some different types of grass and a little bit more current driven on that. But as a whole, that's kind of how the Oklahoma.
Yeah, they're very similar. And Muskogee too, like Arkansas River.
Fort Gibson.
Yes.
Kerr. Tenkiller, Eufaula, Keystone. Yeah, they're all kind of rock. Some of it has, not much grass on it, bushes, that type of stuff, watercolor. All right, so here's what I did, Wes. I was doing some research on today's show, and there's a couple, I came across a couple articles, a couple key things that I think are really good lessons to other tournament anglers, regardless of whether they're fishing out of a kayak in their club tournament, the BFL level, the opens, or professional anglers. So I kind of want to go through those steps. And the first thing was, I think that I did not realize how consistent you are, and that is not by accident. So after you won your first Elite Series tournament, you had an article where you said, over the course of my career, I've put a premium on being consistent. I'm not one of the hero or zero type guys. I've cashed checks in 21 out of 26. You said that's something that I'm proud of, and then went on to kind of talk a little bit about that. That was kind of at the start of the technology era, so to speak, the scoping, the kind of changing of the guard in 21. So then when I went and looked at your stats, one of the things that I thought was highly impressive is, since you won that tournament, you have never gone 3 tournaments in a row without cashing a check. And in fact, and it might be a $500 check or a $2,500 check, and we're including the Redfish Cup in this. But and we'll get to this later, other than earlier this year when you went 81st and 60th at the Pascatank and Hartwell, you've never gone consecutive events without cashing a check. And I think, we talk about how consistent Mike McClellan was, and Brian Thrift was on FLW, and Todd Faircloth back in the day on the Elite Series. I think your consistency is highly underrated. And I would just love for you to kind of walk through kind of your system, your mentality. In 90% of the time when you're putting the boat on the water, you're getting at least some sort of dollars back in the pocket.
Yeah, it's kind of just, and it may just be the way I grew up fishing. I feel like the first thing to do, like when you get to a place, is just try to figure out how to get a bite. Like, regardless if it's 12 inches, 5 pounds, whatever, just get a bite and try and figure out kind of let the fish kind of tell you what's going on. Don't try and go into places with like preconceived notions. Because I feel like the few times that I've gone into tournaments is like, this is what I'm going to do. We've been here this time before. I know what they're going to be doing. Like, those are some of the ones that I've actually struggled in the most. And sometimes it works out that way, but not all the time. But yeah, it's just I don't really know, man. And to be honest with you, like, and I know everybody has lost fish stories, like hardly ever, there's not very many times where I've been out there and just did not know what was going on. And I'm not trying to like talk myself up, but a lot of times, like, those really bad tournaments are like, I was not on the best deal, but I figured out just enough that I thought I could get a check, and you lose those 1 or 2 key bites. And you end up, instead of finishing, in the high 40s or, high 30s, you end up in the 60s just because, you lose that 4-pounder. Or like at Hartwell, I broke off a 7-pounder on day 2 that I would have, it would put me in the top 15, top 10 going into day 3. But that stuff happens. It's just kind of part of it. But I don't know. I feel like that main key, like I said, is just figuring out how to get a bite and then putting together like what the fish are trying to go to. Like if you can always stay in front of them, like it's changing every day, most of the time. Like hardly ever is bass fishing the exact same way every day, which is why we love it. But if you can ever figure out how to just stay one step ahead, and I feel like my better tournaments are when I can figure it out every day of the tournament better. Like okay, I had a decent practice day 1 of the tournament, halfway through the first day, like they're still kind of doing this deal, but with an hour left, like you get a bite and it's like, I might need to, like, I might can expand on that because I haven't done that yet, and I haven't had a bite doing it, but I have now. Like, maybe I can get ahead of the curve. Like, nobody's really messing with this because our guys are so good, dude. Like, it doesn't take them very long to, like, get the next clue and, kind of put everything together. So trying to stay ahead of that deal is kind of where, like, I feel like the consistency kind of comes from, if that kind of makes sense. And, excuse me, and then just kind of fishing your strengths in a way, like, the forward-facing sonar kind of throws a wrench in that a little bit because, yeah, you can fish your strength, but if it's going to be dominated, either out there them floating around or, offshore like brush or just straight up ledge fishing, like it's going to be hard to compete, junk fishing around on the bank, which is what I really like to do. So me adjusting to that, like knowing when you've got to use it or not use it at all, which is hardly ever. I got real fortunate at Tenkiller, I never turned it on, but that was a kind of a weird deal anyway. But just doing that and just learning when to get caught up in that and when to kind of just leave it alone because you'll be able to go do your whole deal.
Do you feel like you put yourself in jeopardy of fewer top 10s? Like, is it a trade-off? Consistency, $10,000 checks or $5,500 checks or whatever it is this year for those 30th, 40th place finishes, but less top 10s? Because when you won in 21, I believe you went first and then you went second, but you haven't had a top, I'm not counting the Redfish Cup, you haven't had a top 10 in Elite Series competition since then. Is that a conscious trade-off as far as consistency versus top 10s? Yeah,
absolutely. And I mean, because stats don't lie. I mean, in anything, bass fishing, professional sports, whatever. And me and my wife were actually just talking about this the other day. Like I don't get top 10s normally and be in 8th or 9th and not have a chance to win. Like if I'm fishing on the final day, I don't think I've ever went into an Elite Series tournament or a bigger scale tournament and not been first, second, or third and had a chance to actually win. Even in the opens, like a lot of times that year I qualified, like I think I started every one of those, final days in first, second, third, fourth at the most. So it's a weird deal. Like I don't really know why. Like it plays out like that. Like I obviously don't fish for it to, like I want to get every top 10 you can. It just, I feel like you're right. Like it's a trade-off. Like you're not fishing, I'm not saying you're not fishing for top 10s, but more average going to be that 20th to 40th, which, I mean, like you said, there's guys that have had hellacious careers that finished 20th to 40th. Like, I mean, if I could go out there and finish 25th every tournament, you would be top 5 AOY and have one of the best careers ever in bass fishing. But obviously you want to try.
Swindle's done a pretty good job at that.
100%. I mean, he's got 2 AOY trophies to prove it. And everybody's like, well, Swindle's never won one. I'm like, yeah, he's also the 2 AOYs. Like, I don't know as a bass slinger, you probably do feel this way. AOY would mean more than anything. I mean, maybe besides the classic just because of the monetary deal, but from a like personal, amongst anglers standpoint, like an AOY, you can't take that away.
No one's ever lucked into an Angler of the Year title.
Absolutely not. And he's got 2 of them. Like that's just, you can't take that away. And like, I mean, I'm not going to say that's what I strive to be like. Nothing against Swindle. I just not trying to form my career around somebody. I'm just trying to do my own deal. And it just kind of feels like that's how it's going to play out. But the interesting thing with that is Gerald grew up around here like I did, fishing the same way. Like just that junk fishing, Coosa River, Smith Lake, Gunnersville, Wheeler, Pickwick. Like you just got all of it in one. And it's kind of how it's how you grow up around here.
I found this interesting when I read the article about you winning. And we talked about your consistency. You already had an Elite Series under your belt, qualified fairly quickly, really good Central Opens to qualify for the Elite Series. And you had some interesting quotes after you won on Tenkiller. And I want to get your take on this, and we'll take a break and we'll dive into the anatomy of the win. But the quote was, after two good tournaments to start the 2025 season, Logan has struggled outside of the state of Florida, so much so that he questioned if he still belonged on the Elite Series stage. This year has not been easy. I hit a wall and didn't even know my last name. After Lake Hartwell, I sat in Bill Lowen's boat and cried my eyes out because I wanted to quit. I didn't know if I was good enough to be here.
That's about as straight up as it gets. There's I don't know, man. Like, it was like it's not made up. Like, I mean, Bill Lowen can attest to it. Like, it was I mean, I didn't just go to Bill and just start boohooing and crying, but like, I had been sitting in my boat like after that day 2 weigh-in, and like, dude, just nothing was going right. Like, nothing I did fishing wise, or even just in life in general, like nothing was going my way. And not to have a pity party, because I mean, it's just life. You got to deal with it, but for it to just keep mounting and keep mounting and keep mounting. Everybody's like, hey, you're living the dream. Like, everything's awesome. And I am. Like, I get to do what I love to do, but I mean, it's still a job, and you've got to, perform and execute to be able to support your family. And, the pressure starts building up, and you're just like, man, I don't, like, am I wasting money? Like, I'm not, I've got great sponsors, don't get me wrong, but like, could I go get like a normal, job throughout the year and be able to support, Riley and do all that kind of stuff and be better off to do that? So all those stuff starts popping in your head. And the problem with that coming up is you start thinking about it while you're fishing. So you start trying to make things happen. You start trying to press, and it's just, it snowballs into a really bad situation. And I mean, I got to give a shout out to Bill, because I mean, that afternoon he was actually rigging up the fish on day 3, and he was just like, dude, I went through this last year. Like, it's like nothing you do is going right. He said, as bad as it turned, or as fast as it turned, like awful, it can flip just the same. Like, all of a sudden you start getting a little momentum, you start making good decisions, get a little, confidence in yourself, and it'll just start rolling. And man, it really did. And it didn't really happen. Like, I can kind of remember when it happened, like almost to the hour, not trying to be like theatrical or whatever, but day 2 at the NPFL at Douglas, leaving Sabine, like a tournament that I thought I was going to do really well at Sabine, I did terrible again. And I just lost fish, made dumb decisions. Guys caught them like really good where I'd practiced. Like, I mean, Coop made a top 10 out of an area I thought, that was going to be really good, and I just couldn't get any bites. But that day 2 at Douglas, I was having a bad day, and it kind of turned around at lunch, and day 3 went really well. And then I just rolled right into Tenkiller and had a good practice, and it just started, snowballing in the right direction. But yeah, there's a lot more to professional bass fishing than just going out there and fishing. I think people kind of get the misconception of that. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on with our lives, like, between guys' families and stuff that's out of their control. It's a lot more to it than just go out there and reel in some bass in.
I never had you on the show after Champlain last year. I mean, I read the article. I know you had a pretty scary experience there, a boat wreck at Champlain. You hit something that was submerged. Did that change? Do you think that changed your outlook, with the family, with having the win under your belt, of an established veteran pro now, over half a decade into it? Do you think that changed your kind of outlook on how you looked at fishing on the Elite Series, or did?
No, I think I took it as like trying to think of how to word this. Like, I mean, obviously, like, I've been driving a boat like probably longer than I've been driving a car. And I never could wrap my head around like how it happened. Like, why did it? Like, I've watched the video 1,000 times, and like, I'm not running any different than I've ever ran. Like, I'm running 55 miles an hour on top of some 2.5-foot waves. Like that, it's nothing serious. But just the way everything happened, like, I just feel like, and obviously, like, when it happened, how it was broadcasted, like, out there for the world. And I think the way I like reacted to it and was able to get back out there and go fishing and like, kind of put all that to the side and go do my job. I felt like everything happened for a reason. Like, maybe, and not even to do with fishing, like somebody in their life, like, had a really bad situation happen. They know that they can just, get back up and go out there and keep their head up and, know something good is on the way. So I think that's kind of like where I went with that. But I still sit here in this chair to this day and don't know why I'm still here after that, because it could have went very bad very easily, like the opposite. Like the injuries that I had were nothing compared to what they could have been. And obviously I had my kill switch on and my life jacket and all that stuff. But I mean, the way I hit my head like 2 or 3 times and like busted it open, it could have knocked me out, thrown me into the water. Nobody knew where I was at. I was by myself. Could have got thrown in the water, knocked out, could have been, drowned and not be here. Like there's so many bad things that could have happened, but I was kept here for a reason. So I felt like I needed to do something with that, just to kind of show people like that even though you run into bad stuff, it's going to be okay.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, I think there's some learning lessons, just like there is in the way you've kind of attacked your career. For the average bass angler, there are a couple key catches here that I don't think got enough credit that deserved that happened during Tenkiller. So we're talking with 2-time Elite Series champion Wes Logan. If you're listening on iTunes, I'll say 2-time. If you're watching, he literally has one on either shoulder. It's pretty baller. So BTL on a Wednesday. And if you're also wondering why I'm dressed like this, Daryl Gleason, who is now living, him and Randy travel around the country in the RV. Her niece is into the rodeo scene. They have a deal that's less than an hour away. Gleason, big golfer, as you know, we went to the Masters earlier this year together, called up and said, hey, let's hit the link. So I'm hitting the links with him, and Tyler and Scott Dennis used to run S&D boats and were Bass Cat dealer in Shawnee for a long time. So anyway, we'll be back right after this more with 2-time Elite Series champion Wes Logan.
The new Puma STS has been redesigned from the ground up. With the angler, design, function, and performance in mind, nothing on this new offering was compromised, and the only thing carried over from the previous version is the name. Based on the Soft Touch series hull that started with the flagship Jaguar, this new model is nimble and performs incredibly well at all speeds with either a 250 or 300 horsepower engine. Featuring a new 96-inch wide-body footprint, this hull measures out at 20 foot 7 inches in length. Industry-leading design coupled with tournament-winning performance. The Puma STS from Bass Cat. Feel the rush.
Pro Bass Adventures is reinventing Mexico bass fishing. With boats equipped with 12-inch Garmin units and LiveScope Plus, free loaner fishing rods, and no-cost airport transportation, Pro Bass Adventures is proudly putting you in the best position for success. Pro Bass Adventures has lodges on Lake Baccarat and Lake El Salto, Mexico's 2 best trophy largemouth bass lakes. Visit probassadventures.com or email probassadventures@gmail.com. The official Mexico fishing lodge of Bass Talk Live.
As a professional angler, there's only one thing that connects you to your paycheck. Probably the most crucial part to tournament bass fishing. I use Sunline because they have a line for every application. Shooter, FX2, All Might, super light line, big stuff, big sticks. Sunline has you covered.
Sharp as can be. Super strong, super durable.
Really good penetration.
Thinner and stronger.
Catch fish after fish.
I want to make sure that I'm using the best stuff possible.
World's finest hook. World's finest hook.
Gamakatsu, world's finest hook.
Welcome back, BTL, on a Wednesday. Talking with Wes Logan. 14-12 to kick off Tenkiller a couple weeks ago when you started the quest for your second Elite Series title. At that point, with Andrew Loberg having about a 3-pound lead on you after that, did you think, hey, I could still win this tournament? Like, when did it all come together at Tenkiller where you realized this might be mine?
I had a weird feeling the night of day 3. And just because what I saw on day 3, I kind of I'm not gonna say I figured anything out. I just kind of saw I saw the quality there to like catch up if he were. I knew he would have to have a bad day. And I mean, I didn't like wish him not to catch any because I mean, I really wanted him to like. I wanted to win, but I mean, I obviously wanted him to win too. He was fishing a great tournament, like it was he deserved.
It's individual sport. It's okay to say you wanted to kick everyone's butt.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's not like I would wish bad on anybody.
Yeah.
Like I don't want Andrew to like. I wanted to like. I literally they could quote me like my parents, my good buddies, my like Riley. I was like, I hope he wins. Like I really do. Like I hope I catch him good. He catches him good. Like whatever. It is what it is. But yeah, after day one, I didn't really. I mean, I just like, man, I need to get as many points as I can because I've sucked so bad the past few tournaments. So I got to get back in the classic. That was my main thing, like get every point I could. Because I basically burned an area down the first day. I was in one creek. I fished a marina in there, and then I flipped bushes I stayed in there basically all day, and I probably caught 50 between 2 and 3/4. But I was going to save a little bit of it, and then I started seeing guys come in there, guys that are, really good fishermen and really good flippers. I was like, well, they're not going to miss anything. I'm just going to keep catching them. And then day 2 is kind of when I made my shift to a different area that I'd practice, and that's when it kind of started getting, I started seeing what was going on, and I was like, oh, this is good, like really good.
On the final day, I'm going to find this article here because this to me is a great sign that you're dialed in. And, Rick Clunn talks about finding that space and where things, the Clunnism stuff and all the, hey, I'm in the zone. And on the final day, you had an article somewhere. I had it pulled up. You had a quote where you had got off to a good bite, and then you were reeling your bait in the afternoon, and you caught something out of the corner of your eye, like some movement or something that came out after your bait, and you went a little bit further, and then you said, you know what, I think that was a good bass, and you went back and you caught a 4 something that called out a fish. You ended up winning the tournament by an ounce. Like, to me, that's like a dialed in move that, like, a guy who's pissed off, a guy who's not fishing good, a guy who's not 100% aware with his surroundings loses by a pound and wonders, why the hell did I get so close and not win? Am I making too much of that? Or is that like a little something that was really cool that ended up being the deciding factor, was just being completely dialed in on every cast on that final day?
Yeah, I think it was, and I can kind of tell the story real quick. It was one of those deals where I think it was just meant to be. Like the way everything had happened that final day, like it was my tournament. Like looking back on it, I'm like, man, that would have never happened in a million years again. But I literally had like 10 minutes left. And I'm fishing down my, what I thought was one of my really good stretches, and I pitch over by a log and I work my jig out. And I mean, there's 30 people behind me. One of the guys, JD Blackburn from Zoom, is like right behind me videoing. I'm talking about like in a chair, like dead on me. And I don't know when he showed up. Like I just happened to look around. I was like, there's JD. Like, I don't know when it happened, but he's like right behind me filming. And I'm like, I'm not thinking about anybody. I'm just like, I need to catch. Like I don't have enough, obviously. And I work it out and I go to reel it in, and dude, there's like I thought it was like a 3 or 3.5 pounder, like right on it. I'm talking about, and JD's got the video, like it blows water like all over the trolling motor. And like I try and get my jig back down to it, and I was pulling it out already too fast, like just already looking at the next piece of cover. And like as I look down, like the fish like swirls by the boat, but as it's going down, like all of a sudden, like I seen it turn and go back to the tree for some reason. I'm like, dude, that fish just like it went back for some reason, like a fry garter or like one on the, like it was just weird. So instead of like starting to pitch, because I kind of washed up towards it, I turned the trolling motor down and I made a big circle, and I just eased back up there and I put my raptors down and I start pitching like to where it like came out and boiled on the jig, and I'm pitching nothing, and I'm like, gosh dang it, dude, like I need that one like bad. I'm looking at the clock and I start working my way like kind of out like into where the basically where the fish went to, and I get back to about where the end of the tree started, dude, and it bites and I catch it. And it ends up being a short. Long story short, I have to get the balance beam out. My scales are like it's all staying the same. It barely moved, and I'm gonna go with it like an ounce worth. Like truthfully, like literally an ounce or two worth. But on the scales it would go back and forth on the Bubba scales from 212 to 213, and the one I coiled with would go from 212 to 211, like back and forth. Like it was on 212 most of the time on both. And I was like, I'm just gonna go with this one. And, to end up winning like that. But I think it was more of like you said, once the day started so good on that day day 4, and I caught them quick in the marina, and then caught this, the 5-pounder you're showing. I'm like, dude, I've got a chance. Like I kept telling myself, dude, every flip you've got to be paying attention. Like you have got to not get dialed in. You've got to make every cast count because, it can happen at any time. And, I lost probably another 5-pounder, 4 to 5-pounder halfway through the day, which I thought killed me. But, obviously it didn't. It just made it, great for TV. But like you said, I think it was more of like paying attention to every little detail. Like if I had not seen that fish kind of turn back, like I would have probably just kind of fished out there a little bit where it bulled at the boat and went on about my way and been like, man, what could have been? And I mean, I think that was just a good Lord, like keeping me, it is what like I said, it was meant to be. And I've always said this, I've heard people say this, when it's your time, you can't keep it from happening, and you can't, like, if it's not, you can't make it happen. Like I did everything I could to screw that up, and it still worked out, but it was a blessing. That bite was like, I don't know, I get chill bumps thinking about it.
One of the other cool things about this tournament, and you're fishing trash mats. You mentioned the marina. You're fishing bushes. You're fishing 45-degree rock bank on dead end cuts. Like it was not just do the same thing for 8 hours a day. Like especially with the water, I believe it came up 4 feet during practice and then dropped 2 feet during the tournament. You had all sorts of different flow and inflow coming in. There's some little creeks and inflows that you're fishing there. Like it was a constant game of adjustment every single day too, was it not?
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I felt like that sets up perfect for me. Because you can look back at the 21 tournament that I won at Neely, even though it is my home lake, like that water was moving a lot. Like you were having to adjust every day. It was coming up. It was going down with some flood type stuff. And I feel like I just excel when I can figure it out during the day. I feel like I do a really good job of figuring out hour to hour, where some guys may get stuck in I've got to do this all day. And I like we just started off the whole deal talking about how similar those Oklahoma lakes are to around here. Like that's how we fit. Like it's nothing new to me. Like to do something completely different in a different area of the lake that a different day. That's just how I fish around here on multiple day tournaments. You can't fish the same place twice. But I also did know, and I don't know if I've said this many times. I think I said it on stage or somewhere once or twice. The fish on Tenkiller acted a lot like the fish on Neely Henry to me, which is where I grew up fishing, where they want to use a certain piece of cover for some reason. Like this whole area can be good. Like there can be fish anywhere on it, but if you're going to get a good bite, it's going to be right here, right here, right there. And I started seeing that happening throughout the tournament, and like the light bulb was going off. I'm like, well, instead of running around trying to find new stuff, like I'll just let it rest a little while and then go fish it again. Because every time I go back through here, I got me a tree and a bush and a rock right here that I catch a 2 to 4 pounder off of every time I fish it. Like I'm just going to keep doing that instead of running around trying to find better places where I'll just, try and make the most of my time right here.
Mm-hmm. Has there ever been a better bait invented for bass fishing than a 1/2 ounce green pumpkin jig with a chunk on it? Or will that be a top 3 bait until the end of time, regardless of what we're looking at, casting to, or fishing?
I think the only one that could rival it is a 1/2 ounce black and blue with a chunk on it. And that's just going to depend on watercolor. But yeah, I mean, it's made me a lot of money in my life. A lot of times around here, we throw a 5/8 instead of a 1/2. I, for some reason, could not get them to buy a 5/8 there. I don't know if it was the
whoa. So you're legit saying, every once in a while I'll get someone on that talks about this. I'll stop you there. You're legit saying that an 1/8 ounce difference between a 1/2 and a 5/8, because a 4/8 is a 1/2.
That's right.
A 1/8 ounce difference in the fall rate of a jig is the difference between getting a bite or not getting a bite. So you're talking about the difference between a jig going and a jig going. I'm asking. I'm with you. I'm asking. I walk me through like the minute differences because I have a problem a lot of time on the water of going 3/8 half, 5/8. Like, I mean, I know there's a difference between a 3/8 and a 3/4, but like, I'm not going to take the time to slow my fall down just a little bit. I mean, walk me through that because you're one of the best jig fishermen out there.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I just know I've had so many experiences where I've seen this work and this not work, and I really think a lot of and just flipping in general, or casting for that, but just basically fishing. Besides, unless you're winding something, is a lot to do with rate of fall. Whether you're flipping a Texas rig, flipping a jig, I mean, it all has to do with making them react. And sometimes you want a real fast fall. Sometimes you want it to slowly fall. Sometimes you kind of want it to flutter and glide through the water, or, like you have a tube style bite that, has a whole different fall to it. I think that's a little bit of like, I wouldn't say unknown, but gets looked over a lot, especially, I really don't want to get into this, but like nowadays where you get to see your bait falling on the screen and see how they react to it, where, growing up, like how we fish around here, like you have to learn that. Like you have to let the fish tell you instead of being able to see how they react to it. So, and I think like us getting to see them like speeds up that process, obviously. But I mean, the difference in the half and a 5/8 fall is really different to me. And like I said, it could have just been happenstance, coincidence. I just didn't flip where a bass was with the 5/8, but there was a drastic difference in that. And that's about the only two that I'll flip is a half and a 5/8. We flip a 3/4 around here some if the current's really hard, but a 5/8 has really been my bread and butter. But I obviously caught them on a half in this one. But
that's it right there, right? The arc jig, the Randall Tharp arc.
Straight green pumpkin
series, straight green pumpkin.
Yep, I had a Zoom green pumpkin super chunk on it.
All the old school, like all the flippers. I know Randall Tharp designed this, but like we're jig country here, Wes.
Yeah,
and it seems like the guys who are day in and day out the best with the jigs, they all like that kind of that little shape, that style on the head when they're flipping.
Yeah, and I think it's just a deal where it comes in and out of cover the best. I'm not saying it doesn't get hung up because all jigs get hung up, especially when you put them in places they need to go. But I think that one comes in and out the best. On that particular jig, I've had a few people call that, man, that weed guard's so long. Like, I was like, we made it long so you can do whatever you want to with it. Like, that was the whole, like, my swim jig was the same way. Like, we made it, a little bit longer. So if you want it that way, you can keep it. If you want to cut it off, whatever. But yeah, that head, I feel like you get better hookup ratios, with that, style, line tie. That weed guard angle was good. The hook that we've got in that, is good. The skirts are good. It's just I don't know. It was it was worth $100,000 at Tenkiller. I can tell you that.
The other thing that I thought was interesting was you're flipping a straight shank Gamakatsu.
I was on the punch skirt rig. I basically I took a green pumpkin skirt and put it on a hub with a 1/2 ounce weight. I basically just needed something to get into those trash mats, and my jig wouldn't go through there with the chunk on it. But yeah, I had a 1/2 ounce weight punch skirt with a 3/0 straight shank. I actually was flipping the heavy cover worm hook.
That, not the punch hook.
I don't think it was the punch hook.
Dude, they make so many variations of that. I get so confused on it, and then everyone's like, "Which one? Which one do you like?" And I'm like, I got them that I like, but there's like 4 or 5 variations based on a tin keeper, another different keeper, the gauge of the wire, but that
the one I was basically that one. I think it was just a heavy cover worm hook because I was throwing it on. I was flipping fluoro. I was flipping 22 shooter, and I normally use the flip punch hook for just straight braid. But it's basically, besides the hook diameter, the one I was throwing was a little smaller, but not much. But the strength is still there on both. But either one of them you could have got away with. But yeah, with a Z-Hog Junior green pumpkin from Zoom, and it basically just, I was trying to get as similar to that jig as I could, just because that was it, 100% it. Yep.
Yeah, that's a money hook.
Yeah, it's just good for a lot of stuff like light liner, like lighter flipping, up to that because I had it on a 7.6 heavy. Like it's not like I was, hitting them.
Well, I ask about that because I know there are some guys that swear by an EWG or an offset worm hook in wood and a heavy cover because they don't want the hook point to get stuck in the tree as they're bringing it out. You're straight shank guy when you're flipping.
Straight. Like, dude, the only time I can't even think of a time when I flipped like a round bend. There's not hardly any EWGs in my boat. I throw an EWG on like I don't even know, you
just don't throw much.
Yeah, no. I'm trying to think. I think the
Carolina rig.
No, that's a round bend.
Okay.
I'm just not a fan, dude. I've lost them so bad on that thing, and not that it's not like I lost them on a Gamakatsu one and this one's, but like I just don't like that style hook.
That's probably one of the biggest debates. You could get two guys that have won $1 million next to each other, and one guy will tell you 10 stories on how he lost tournaments on a straight shank, and the other guy will tell you stories of why he never throws an EWG.
Yeah, 100%. It kind of ties into the snail knot or the regular knot when flipping, stuff like that. But I don't know. And fishing's a lot about confidence. Like if I flip an EWG out there, in my mind, every time I flip, I'm like, if I get a bite, it's going to be a 50-50 chance I lose that joker. Again, they're great hooks. Like it's just, again, it goes down to personal preference. And yeah, I could understand how a straight shank can get hung on a bush, but first and foremost, I want to hook him good. So I'll figure it out once I have to go get him in said bush. But when they're a lot of times, dude, when the bass are like, you have the right bait and they're eating it really good, you don't lose very many. It just doesn't happen. Unless you're in that, some of that, gnarly stuff. And if you bat, or not bat, if you have 8 out of 10 get in the boat, you're doing really good.
Oh yeah. I'm curious, you're casting over stuff, you're in bushes. You said you're using the 22-pound shooter.
Mm-hmm.
How often are you respooling that? Or are you just taking off a couple feet of line? Or what is your line management scenario where you've got 10 to 30 feet of line that's coming in contact with something over the course of a tournament day?
Yeah, so I may be a little bit more peculiar with this, but I was respooling after every day.
Okay.
Just because, like you said, I'm going in and out of that stuff, and this, being from out there, that's some of the toughest, branches and pieces of wood I've ever been in contact with. Like, if you would catch one out of it, or even get hung up and like put some tension on those branches or those driftwood pieces, like it was gonna you could feel it on. I'm not saying it frayed your lineup, but it just didn't feel right, and I would cut off, 10 feet and 10. Everybody kept saying, "Man, why are you keep cutting that much line?" I'm like, dude. These branches, I don't know what kind of bushes they are, but they're like really abrasive. Like I didn't know what, and the rocks out there, like in front of those bushes were like, I don't know. It was some of the crazier stuff I fished around. And I knew how, vital every bite was going to be. And I just wanted to do everything I could to, ensure that I, put the fish in the boat. So I would, spool up a fresh, I don't know how much line 22 goes on my reel, but I would just put some on every day.
Like 80 to 100 yards of the 22?
Probably
a little bit more because that sunline is true diameter. So you think of 22 and you're like, man, that's like rope, but
it is not.
22 sunline is pretty much 25 of everything else if you look at the actual diameter of it.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like that 22 is probably the best diameter for the flipping line that is out there. And I do use 25 a lot of the times. But just with the half-ounce stuff and I don't know, I feel like the 22 is a lot more manageable than the 25. I don't know. It's my favorite line. But yeah, I was spooling up and I would just do 2 rods. I would have, I'm a weird dude. Like when I have a rod that I'm getting bit on,
it's that rod.
That's the one I want to be using. Like and they can be I have the exact same setup beside, like in the rod box, the same reel, the same rod, the same line, the same jig, and I never got it out. I would keep pulling line off and cut. I even re-spooled during the day one time.
Really? That's an Aaron Martin's move, Wes.
I do it all the time, dude. Like
really?
I got, the little sunline bags, the little camouflage bags. Yeah, I'll have like I got one with shooter and one with FC sniper and crank, and I'll just it don't take me, 3 minutes max. And I did all that just because I wanted to have that rod and reel in my hand. Just you never know, like and God forbid any of this happened, but something be wrong with the reel, or the rod may have got damaged or something. And like that one bite, like that 5-pounder, if my rod blows up or the reel back, breaks or something, like you screwed yourself.
Yeah.
Where this one's
not that the arc rods are blowing up all the time.
No.
Just to be safe.
Yeah, I'm just being I'm just being real. Like
I know. I do the same thing with the spinning rod. You start catching them on it, and you catch a big one on it, and everything feels good and right. And you got 4 more that are laying right there. I'm retying I'm retying that leader and putting it on there because I know that is dialed in, even though the other 3 are the exact same.
You just, there's so many unknowns, like those rods laying on your deck or even in the rod box. Like anything could have happened, something hit them. Like I just, it's not worth it. Like now, if I'm out there fishing and there's nothing wrong with fishing for $300, but it's a whole different deal when I'm out there trying to, keep the lights on at the house. Like it's stuff starts getting serious then. So that's kind of where it goes with that. Like all my equipment's great, but the unknowns are what you're trying to avoid with anything, especially in, professional bass fishing.
I'm looking here. I mean, you get on a little bit of a hot streak. You got a shot at the Classic?
I'm in 21st, I think, with 2 left.
Yeah, you're in the Classic like really well.
Yeah, going into Tenkiller, I was on the bubble. I was in 40th.
Because you had a decent fork. Yeah, so you're in good shape. It's been a good little Oklahoma swing for you.
I don't know if I'm in good shape. We got to catch them 2 more times.
That's pretty good shape, Wes.
I mean, I would tell it's a lot better than the alternative. I could be in 60th. But yeah, it was we start.
You're gonna get a call from Brandon Cobb after this because he is in 60th.
Well,
Brandon Cobb. How the heck is Brandon Cobb in 60th?
He'll get in. Don't worry.
I know.
I can assure you. I have more confidence in Brandon making it in from 60th than me staying at 21st. So,
dude, look at this little pack down there. You have Canterbury, Polinick, Cobb, and Loberg in 58th through 61st.
I would say it would not surprise me if all 4 of them made it, like 100%.
Yeah. Did you know Andrew Loberg very well? I know you. It's weird. Like I feel like I don't care whether it's low. Like I remember a guy who beat me in a BFL 15 years ago, and I still feel like a connection with that. Like just because you went through the same kind of thing there. Like, had you known Andrew Loberg? I know he's a rookie out there. He's been around on FLW before. He's a well-known angler, but to me, he strikes me as like as rock solid as they come, and a very well-respected, talented angler on tour.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't really talked to him. A few times at the boat ramp, throughout the year, you say hey or whatever, just in passing. But I feel like I've seen him fish so much at FLW. Like he was leading. I think he was leading a Pickwick. I don't remember, like an invitational or a whatever they call them now. Basically, was a tour. So I watched him fish there. He's been leading a few other things. Like I've watched him on live. Like he's a really, really good fisherman. Like when you have a guy that's been at so many different places, catching them so many different ways, like with a chance to win, like you obviously know he's gonna get his time, with some trophies for sure. But I have a lot of respect for him because I didn't get to watch any of the event during it, but I went back, and I've watched, some days of the live, and like he knew what was going on. Like he was breaking it down good. He was fishing really good. And I mean, I just have a lot of respect for somebody that, is that good in so many different ways. I think he's a little bit older than me. I think he's like
32, 33, I want to say.
Yeah, I just turned 31 like 2 weeks ago. So I knew he was a little older than, which, I mean, I guess we're basically the same age.
Yeah, the same age.
But yeah, he's a heck of an angler. Like he's really fun to watch fish. I feel like he kind of reminds me of how like his mind works like mine does. Like we kind of think similar, which is kind of odd, him being from California and me being from here. But just like hearing the things he says, I'm like, that kind of makes sense. Like that's kind of how I would, kind of think about this. Like, I don't know, just some of the things he said. But he seems like a really good dude. Like I said, I hated that one of us had to lose because I really, like, I swear I on everything holy that I was like, man, I just hope he wins. Like, I hope we both have a good day. And
that's got to be awkward because like you hadn't been in that position. There's not very many like 1 ounce wins where you're right there and it's one guy's crushed and one guy's dreams comes true. Now you have finished second. That being said, you finished second to Caleb Kupal, who won by like 75 pounds.
Yeah, there was no way
in that tournament. Like you won the tournament within that tournament.
Right. That's right.
But I mean, like, that's got to be a weird feeling to be like, oh my God, I just won again after everything that was going on. And then you've got this guy here who hasn't won before, and it's 1 ounce, and you kind of can tell what he's going through. But I mean, that's competitive. I mean, it's a competition. Like
I mean,
it's a weird deal.
Like I said, somebody's got to lose, unfortunately. Like, I think the only worst thing that could have been for either one of us, like, I mean, obviously I was on the upper end of the 1 ounce deal. But if we had tied and had to go to a fish off, like I felt like that would have been one of the worst scenarios for either one of us. Because if you really think about it, like you caught enough to win, like both of us did, and now it's going to come down to a like the first keeper. Like that's kind of hard to swallow.
I know, but I still want to see one.
Oh, everybody wanted to see it.
Blows my mind that we have not had one yet. Do you think there's some tomfoolery going on there to where they're like, hey, you know, like, we don't want to stick around here for another day? I just think I mean, dude, but even in the opens, in anything, like, it's crazy how there's only been a couple of those things. Like, I would love to see an Elite Series fish. I'd love to see a Classic fish off, but I would love to see an Elite Series fish off.
Could you imagine fishing for a Bassmaster Classic and the first one to catch a 12-incher, or I guess a keeper wherever you're at, would win? Like, that's crazy. And I asked them, like after I come off the stage, like everything happened, I was like, well, how would it have went down, like if we would have had to do it? And they were like, oh, we would have left from the weigh-in, went straight back to the boat ramp, and we'd have gave y'all 2 hours, like, and the first one to catch a keeper wins. And I was like, would you let us get to the, like, where we wanted to fit and, like, do, like, a first cast thing? They were like, no, we'd stand at the boat ramp side by side, say go.
Really?
Wow. Like, wow. Oh, wow. That would have been some nerve. Like, it would have been a weird feeling. Like, can you imagine, like, because it's easy to talk to you about stuff because you do it, like, you fish, like, I mean, you're basically one of us. You do it all.
That is definitely not true.
Come on. But like, think about it. Like you're like, man, I need a bite, and then all of a sudden you get that bite. Like the adrenaline would be.
Oh yeah,
dude. I don't know if you could like.
Dude, that'd be like, remember the TTBC when it was Combs and Ike, and then the phone rang, and Ike's like, "Did he catch one? Or was it Snow? It was one of those. I think it was Combs. Did he catch one? Was it a keeper? Did he catch?" And then he just sawed his rod off in half and chucked it out, and then a fan went out and got that rod and reel out of the lake so he didn't get a littering charge.
Yeah. That's crazy. Like, I just couldn't imagine. Like, that's just, I don't know. I mean, from a fan aspect, like, everybody wants to see it, but I don't wish that on anybody because it's just like you caught enough. Just the other guy caught just as much as you did. Like, the exact same. I had no idea, dude. I had no idea it was that close. Like, because when we got in, like, we had a text on our phone that said, don't look at Bass Track. I was like, well, okay, like, it's supposed to be, somewhat close. And, like, I had no, like, I don't know. I just got to the parking lot, and I was just kind of sitting there. Because, dude, I'd lost a 5. Like, I went back and watched the foot. It was like 5-pounder to me. But it could have been a 4. Either way. I'm like, I lost the tournament. Like, I had my chance. I didn't capitalize on all of them. I lost one bass that basically hurt me in 3 days. Flipping, fishing the way I was, like, I couldn't be mad. It just happened to be that one. And I was like, man, I was okay with it. And then like it said 16-14, and I was like, that's more than I thought I had. And then I don't know, the weirdest thing, like, not trying to take up all your time, but like,
I don't have anywhere to be. I'm going golfing, dude. I'm trying to find the greatest weigh-in picture of all time. I'm also listening, but I'm trying to multitask here since I don't have any. We just keep going.
When Andrew's like pulling through, he like steps on the stage and Dave says he needs all the ones, and I said this on Mercer's like podcast. I was like, I had no idea what the hell you were talking about. Like, it went through my head, and I was like, what the hell does he mean? Does he need one? He's got to have more than 1 pound to beat me. Like, it was the dumbest thought ever. But he said all the ones, but then like he backs it up with he needs 11, and I'm looking like the way our screen sets up, it says there's a box for pounds and a box for ounces.
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking at the pounds. Like, I wasn't even looking at the ounces. I was like, it's going to pop up 12, and it ain't going to matter. Like, he's going to have 12 pounds. So it popped up 11, and, like, it took me, like, obviously, like, not long, but, like, for me to shift my eyes to if it said 11, and obviously when it moved to 9. But it was funny. I was, like, looking, like, I was expecting it to say 12 pounds. And I'd already been like sitting in the hot seat. Like I was thinking about like how I needed to congratulate him. Like I needed to be professional, like, be respectful to him. Like I was like thinking of all that. Like, there ain't no way I've won. Like, there's no way I've won this tournament. And then like it happened, and I was kind of just like, what the hell just happened? Like there's no way that just happened. And it did. It for sure did.
I was thinking of the last one. One of the few. I can't find the background. They cropped it. I'm gonna show it. It ticks me off that they're gonna show it. So this was Toledo Bend when Rojas beat Swindle by an ounce.
Oh my god!
And if you look at this photo, Rojas runs to the front of the stage and hits the Mr. Olympia pose.
Are you serious?
It was epic though. And just to the left, there's a Hall of Famer right there, Trip Weldon.
Yeah.
Just to the left of Trip is Swindle with his hands on his deal like that. Just I got beat by an ounce move. And I'm just thinking like just the dichotomy of that. Like there's very few sports, like when you win in any stick and ball sport, you're there to celebrate with people. There's all that stuff. And it's like even a tennis match or anything, the only thing would be the closest is golf, and it's like gut wrenching when a guy sinks a putt and then he has to take his hat off and congratulate the dude who just had his heart ripped out of his soul.
Yeah,
but that's what makes it so special. Like you go through that, you feel that hurt, and then the next time you get it and you win, and you're like, damn, that was worth it, and I learned so much from it, and vice versa. You appreciate the win more, and that's the human experience.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that's what makes, like you said, makes our sport so special is. Besides kind of golf, but I mean, golf, you're still not out there by yourself. Like, it's up to you to hit the ball, but still you've got like the caddy and all the people helping you ball. Like, dude, when you're out there on that boat, like there's a camera and there's you. That's it. Like, and I mean, obviously you'll have some spectators every now and then, but like there's nobody telling you like, hey, you should. I don't really know all the golf lingo, but like your caddy say, hey, this does that, and you should use this. Like there is none of that. Like you looking down, you're like, damn, I need to throw that, or do I need to move here? Like these boys, like there's a guy on this shoulder and a guy on this shoulder, and it just, I don't know. It was, I don't know.
Yeah, that I remember. Clay said the Murray Forest Wood Cup had a really close weigh-in. I think I was covering that. Was that the one that Kennedy was catching him up the river?
Yeah, Canterbury lost the 5-pounder under the dock.
Yeah, and they're like when they did that final weigh-in, that's when they had all the Rangers that were like spread out on the stage, and legitimately we're sitting there and we're like, damn, 7 guys think they've won this thing.
Yep, really.
Out of the 10, and it was the water weigh-in. It was, you know what? I need to do a whole show on that one. Thank you, Clay. Every once in a while, Clay will come through with a clutch comment. Yeah, he'll also let me know if I have a crappy show too.
I remember this will probably be a crappy one just because you're good.
No. This is a golden one. Dude.
I can remember I was driving home from the beach when that weigh-in was going on. Like I can remember like vividly when it was happening, and like because Chris Jones was calling out. I think it was Chris. Should have been.
Yeah.
He was calling out the weight. He was like, "You need like whatever, 12 pounds, 2 ounces," and he's like. 12 pounds, 2 ounces, and everybody kind of like froze for a second a couple of times. They were like, "No, wait a minute, that's exactly what he needed." It was crazy.
It would have been the Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit title in 2014 on Lake Murray.
Yep.
Yeah, because Kennedy had 20 pounds on the final day. So Gagliardi wins it with 51-2. Scott Canterbury finishes second with 51-1. Brent Ehrler finishes third with 50-11. Casey Ashley finishes fourth with 50 pounds, 7 ounces. Steve Kennedy finishes fifth with 50 pounds, 7 ounces. And then Matt Herron finishes sixth with 48. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys within 12 ounces of the win. I need to get Gagliardi, Canterbury, Ehrler, Ashley, and Kennedy all on that show and do a whole thing about that because there's like videos about it and stuff. Like that might be the best championship weigh-in in history.
Yeah. Is that the tournament where Gagliardi pulls up on his starting spot and that guy's sitting there in the flat bottom telling him to go get a real job or something? Is that the same tournament?
Was that already 10 years ago?
I swear I think it was. He's like, and Anthony's like, I'm just trying to feed my family, man, or something.
Yeah. Here's the other thing that you have to remember. that was when the Forest Wood Cup was still $500,000.
Yes.
So the difference was a $440,000 difference for 1 ounce. It went 50, and then it was substantial, right? So like Steve Kennedy, who came in with 20 pounds, he gets a $35,000 check. It went like the top 5 went 35, 40, 50, 60, and 500.
God, what a drop off.
Yeah, that was the same tournament. I do remember that. That dude went out there knowing Gags was going to start there and wanted to just give him a piece of his mind. I think he was more pissed that he knew there'd be a camera in the boat giving up the juice.
Showing the whole world our hole.
Yep.
Oh, man. That's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that was back when Ion, remember that camera, the Ion?
Yeah.
With the capital, the little lowercase I, that was back when it was with FLW. You got team deals galore. You still have Kennedy. That was like one of the first with the Blue Tiger deal. Oh, Michael Woolley. Holy cow. Dude, I'm glad you mentioned that. That was a badass tournament.
It was. It was a good one. I remember watching it. It was.
I'm gonna let you go. I greatly appreciate the time, Wes. That was fun and nice little trophy stand you got going there.
Yeah. We win anything else, we might have to get a bigger one.
Hey, I'll tell you this though, like the longer and older we get as you're 30, those FLW ones. Like, so I look at the guys, I go over to someone's house and he'll be like, "There's my spittoon from the Red Man days."
Yeah.
And I'm like, God, I wish I had a spittoon. Like, I would love a spittoon. Not to use, but just because of that trophy. Those FLW trophies are, I mean,
oh yeah. One of
there's
them
fewer guys who are getting. There's a bunch of guys that'll never have a chance to win one of those now.
Yeah, there's one from that Forest Wood Cup that I was leading. That's probably my best one I got over there. But there's quite a few of them down there. But yeah, there's no more FLWs. It's the couple of BFLs I've won. They all say MLF, which I still got. They're still doing the fish deal, but I don't know.
The other one that I really want is that Eagle Head.
Oh,
like
the ABA?
The ABA Eagle Head. Yep. I thought I had one. I had one locked up on the Arkansas River. Like, no doubt in my mind. And I lost it by like 3 ounces.
You'll get that.
I didn't care about the win. I just wanted the Eagle.
You wanted the Eagle. Yeah.
I wanted the damn Eagle.
I want some more of those classic plaques behind me.
Yeah, the blue ones, the classics. So that's what you're fishing for. I'm fishing for a 6-inch tall eagle.
It wasn't no dig at you. The more classics, the longer your career is going to be, and I don't want to go back to swinging a hammer.
There you go. Well, you swung the hammer very well at Tenkiller a couple weeks ago. Congrats on your second win, Wes.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
All right, see ya. All right, the one and only Wes Logan. I need to go limber up the lower back, work on some shoulder mobility. Gleason is on the way here. So Wes Logan, one of the good guys in the sport, very passionate, very talented angler. I've gotten to spend some time around him at some of the media events. He's a Gamakatsu guy and things like that. And legitimately, genuinely nice dude. That's all we got for today. We will be back same place, same time tomorrow on July 3rd for day 4 with Frank Scalish. We'll talk to everyone then. See ya.